The dying moments of Neda Agha-Soltan, captured on a cell phone camera, made much of the world stop and pay attention to Iran. The video was graphic, raw. The 26-year-old apparently shot in the chest. Bystanders raced to help. "Don't be scared," someone screamed, but it was too late. Sultan became an instant icon for Iran's opposition movement, protesting the re-election of President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. Even world leaders took notice.
We've seen courageous women stand up to the brutality and threats, and we've experienced the searing image of a woman bleeding to death on the streets.
8 days before Sultan's death, Ahmadinejad's landslide victory had unleashed massive demonstrations. "The vote was rigged," was the cry from hundreds of thousands of green-clad protesters. Iran's leaders called the uprising a foreign-led plot to overthrow the regime. The government's response was a ruthless crackdown. Swarms of riot police attacked and jailed protesters, activists, journalists, many of them women. Human rights groups say the government denied permission to hold memorial services for the more than 70 protesters who were killed. When Sultan's mother grieved at her daughter's gravesite, witnesses say security forces stood nearby. Images of the bloody crackdown seem to fuel worldwide outrage. Sultan's pictures now seen in demonstrations outside of Iran.
The image of this brutality and of the role, the truly significant role that women have played in fighting this regime. I think the women are the unsung heroes of the last few years. They're the ones who began chipping away at the authority and the absolute dictatorship of the mullahs.
1 year after Sultan's death, the regime's crackdown seems to have driven protesters off the streets. But there's evidence the movement is not weakening. Some analysts say instead it's changing into an online, underground civil rights movement.
I think they're going to continue to move forward, whether in the form of a green movement or another type of movement. It's just basically this march of history.
A march fueled in part by the memory of a young woman who is now a symbol of their struggle. Iranian authorities still deny security forces were responsible for killing Sultan. Instead, they've offered at least 3 separate explanations. They blame the CIA, terrorists, and the opposition movement itself. 1 year after Sultan's death, Iranian authorities have yet to announce a single arrest in connection with her killing. Reza, Sayah, CNN, Islamabad.